Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, March 30th, and let us begin by taking a look at the news of the day. Looks like a pretty full slate, but it seems to all be later on. All right, let's see. So we just had a release, GDP, unemployment claims, and we have natural gas today at 10:30, but then we have a speaker at 11. And so I don't really think that anything should keep us too range bound from a news perspective. We could always be range bound just if that's what the market decides to do. But natural gas does, certainly does correlate to oil to an extent. So maybe that will kind of slow us down with people waiting to see what that release is going to bring. I'm going to bring in my hourly chart to move my levels from yesterday. It's just going to be easier for me to find them and adjust them. I saw that we were trading at about 49.82, so I'm going to move my overnight high and overnight low markers so that I know that they're easily visible when I turn back over to my trigger chart, my short-term chart. Okay, so there's value area high, value area low, and VPOC from yesterday. Overnight high, overnight low, and overnight VPOC we need to come get from our trigger chart. So here is overnight high. We are currently at overnight high, continuing to push. That might make for an interesting homework discussion. Where is my, there we go. And overnight low. I think what we're going to do is we're going to, no, you know what, I'm not going to change anything right now. So overnight VPOC, I believe, is below us from yesterday, right here. Let's bring that up some. And mark off overnight VPOC. Okay. So let's take a look at what's happened overnight. Here was yesterday's close. You can see this right here. And if we take that backwards, inventory is pretty neutral here right now. With the last push, we're skewing towards net long. But the interesting thing is we have more of a B-shaped profile. So having this push up here, it kind of throws us off a little bit. I would have liked to have seen this come a little later. I would have liked to have had this, bit of a B-shaped profile closer to the open, giving us an opportunity maybe to try to buy a pullback or something along those lines. But not the way it played out. We are, I'm guessing that this last push up here is in somewhat response to the news release at 8:30, but I have no idea what this entire move was about, nor do I care. News, the only thing I care about when it comes to news is that I'm aware of when it's coming out. I am not interested in the actual numbers, the data. All of that stuff means nothing to me. I just care about what it ultimately shows on the chart. So we are going to we're going to want to do our oil homework, but it's honestly for me right now doing it now can be a little tricky. I don't want it to get from 49.90 to 50.20 between now and the open and us have done our homework. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it backwards today. We're going to do the ES first and then oil. That should work out for us just fine. So let's go and find, this is 45. Okay. So we have value area high, value area low from yesterday, value area high from yesterday, VPOC from yesterday. Okay, now we need overnight high, overnight low. Sorry about that. And overnight VPOC. So let's take a look here at what has happened overnight. We have our close here. We are neutral with inventory. We are approaching yesterday's VPOC right now at the open. We do have a fairly clean distribution, a fairly clean area overnight down here, breaking apart from up here. Currently, we're kind of in between those two, and we'll see which side pulls price. But overnight, really not telling us much, which is just fine. Let's go over to the homework chart now that we have those lines drawn in. And the first thing we're going to check for is, did we breach any levels yesterday that need to be removed? And I do not see any, so that's that's a no. We need to mark off yesterday's high. So copy paste. Here's yesterday's high. Copy paste again. Mark off yesterday's low. Okay, so that gives us everything we need as far as our levels for the S&P. Look at that strong push the day before. You know, we've repeated this pattern for a couple days now, where we didn't have the exaggerated move yesterday, but where we open, test the low of overnight, and then we push up. Here again, we opened, we tested the low of overnight, and then we pushed up. Yesterday we opened, we tested the low of overnight, and then we pushed up. Again, this one wasn't exaggerated, but still the exact same pattern. So let's do some homework. So currently we are trading 56 quarter. And we have plenty of room on both sides. We're here almost 20 points on either side for us to do a homework with. Okay. So what we are watching for here at the open, we are opening inside yesterday's value, inside yesterday's range. And we are going to be looking for a test in either direction. So we'll start on the bottom side. Test of yesterday's value area low, overnight low, looking for maybe even a slight break like we've seen, but looking for support ultimately here, giving us an opportunity to go long and get through, probably chop around yesterday's VPOC, get through over to yesterday's high or high from 2 days ago. That's going to be hypo 1. Hypo 2 is going to be this in reverse. And open. Driving upwards, getting to VPOC, maybe chopping around. Pushing up towards these two swing highs here. Failure at one of those two, somewhere in this area. Then ultimately pushing back down. Getting towards overnight low, maybe a little bit below. And then if we can get below overnight low and have this or value area low from yesterday hold as resistance, we're going to be looking to come and challenge yesterday's low, but even further than that, this micro composite VPOC down here. This is hypo 2. Hypo 3. So we have a range bound hypothesis where we're looking at overnight low and then ultimately breaching and testing towards yesterday's high. We have a downwards hypothesis where we get to the top of the range and moving our way down and through overnight low. And now we're going to, actually, you know what, 1 second here. Okay, now we're going to look at one that's going to be towards the upside and what we would be watching for there. So I'm not sure if it would happen right off the bat, you know, an opening drive. or if it will be a pullback, test down here, and now break. And ultimately, the idea is if we can get above the high of 2 days ago, come test overnight high and see these now act as support, value area high, last two swings, and we can get above overnight high and stay there. Now we're looking at testing this microcomposite VPOC, which in this case gives us what, about a 13 point range, or once we get above there, really this is the microcomposite VPOC. Again, notice how low the volume is in here. So this is going to be hypo 3. Okay, that is it for our hypos for oil. Let me see something here. I mean, that was for S&P. Sorry. Okay. Leave that open. Now, how much time we have? Oh, perfect. I mean, still early, honestly, to do this based on where price is, but at some point I just got to do it. And at some point, just is going to be now. Let's make sure overnight VPOC has not shifted. It has not. So we have our lines, our levels on the chart. Let's bring in our homework chart, our hourly chart. And let's take a look at what happened yesterday. So you can see we have our microcomposite drawn starting up here. And as I scrunch this together, what you see here is we have this low volume area here, this low volume node separating this larger upper distribution, and then we have a few distributions beneath us. And we can see yesterday when we opened, we were right around here. We tested below that. We came up to test the upper end of this distribution. I had talked about certainly us coming to this VPOC. I did not talk about us getting to the other end, or maybe I did, I don't remember, to the other end of this distribution here, which is what we did. We came all the way up, tested the upper end of this distribution, and overnight we have gone even further, and we're now getting into this, the top end, closer to the top end of this microcomposite. So I want to take a look. I'm going to scrunch this up a little bit even further. I want to see what has happened above us last time we were there. Okay, so we do have a nice high volume node here in the composite. We also have a former microcomposite VPOC, which makes sense that those two would coincide. And further above us, we have this swing, but just like in the S&P, we have some pretty low volume here. So that's going to come into play when we draw out our hypotheses. Now, granted, it's a couple of hundred ticks away, but still something we need to be aware of. So right now we have we were trading right around 50, 49.90. Okay. I'm showing a little. Oh, let's stretch out. Or you know what? Let's zoom in a little first. I'm showing a little more on the chart than usual as far as the range from where we do our homework. Normally, I try to get like 100 ticks above and below where we're opening, but because of let me just find microcomposite VPOC here. Okay, so let's put this back where it was, because I'm not sure which one of these is our current microcomposite VPOC. Okay, so this is where it was. Oh, I see it. So right now it's down here. Let's move this to 48.42 for a second. We can see it jumping up here as we add the yesterday's trading way up here. Okay. So we now have So we're trading. Let's just check it one more time. It was 49.90. Okay, right in that same area. Let's stretch this out a little. Okay, so what do we have here? This gives us about 100 plus ticks to the upside, 100 plus ticks to the downside. All right, actually, I'll skew it down a little further. Nice. All right. So 49.90. So first thing we're going to watch for is retest of overnight high with resistance. Maybe give us an opportunity to get into a short trade here off of some negative divergence. And then if we see that, we do got a lot of stuff to get through on the way down here. We have a couple of swings. We have yesterday's value area high. All these can hold as support. In fact, that's the way I'm going to draw this first hypothesis out, is that we hold support. We hold support somewhere down here, ultimately bouncing up through overnight high. And if we can do that, I really think that we're making our way up towards this 50-60 area. That's going to be hypothesis 1. Hypothesis 2 is going to be failure at overnight high, pushing down into these swings here, into value area high from yesterday, ultimately getting resistance and moving down into overnight VPOC, yesterday's VPOC, and coming down to test this low volume node, which we also have marked off as this swing from prior trading. So we're going to be watching this as a potential area of support, because if this one holds, then we're staying in this upper end of yesterday's trading distribution, and we've tested down to here just about for this upper distribution. So we'll watch that swing. I mean, we'll watch every one of these levels of potential reversals, but we'll see if this one can hold. This will be hypothesis number 2. However, hypothesis number 3 is going to start the same way, but finish very differently. So we're, again, maybe test of the overnight high, hold, start making our way down here, getting to value area high, getting resistance as we start bouncing. And now when we get down here, another test, another area of resistance, ultimately pushing us down through into yesterday's VPOC, yesterday's value area low, and down into this low volume node, both on the composite and the micro composite, right around that 48.85, 48.84, 85 area. So that is going to be hypo 3, and again, it can come down to these 3 swings. But I do think that I think it's certainly possible that we're going to make a corrective move off of what happened yesterday, and get us back into the balance of the most recent micro composite. So that's going to be hypo 3. Okay, let's get this back where it belongs. How'd I do? What do we have as far as time goes? Oh, great, 8 minutes. Okay. I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back before the open. So I'll see you guys. All right, couple of minutes to the open. Let's take a look. So we've come off the overnight high. We've had a nice downturn in the BBs. We're definitely going to be watching up here for a potential reversal on a move back up. And let's see if I can't. The last few days, every time I've tried to go pull up our screenshots, it just hasn't worked right. And this looks like it's working a little better today. And what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can. Okay. What's that, buddy? Oh, it looks like I did not save.
Yeah. You have to tell her she thinks you don't like it. I did. I know, but she thinks you don't like it. Don't tell her how much you like it. I love my pet. We have a big house. I love it. What?
That's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm just cleaning up these images. I have I use two monitors, and I had seen the instructions on how to just take a screenshot of the monitor you're currently using. But when I tried to do that, it was taking a picture of the wrong one. So now I'm getting a picture of both of them, and it's just taking me a second to crop them and make them a little bit more useful for us. But it looks like I did forget to take some screenshots again. It doesn't really matter to me so much because I have started watching now with much more frequency. I've started watching my videos at night. Again, like I said, I don't usually do a chart review at night anymore. Market's just open here. Oil is open, I should say. So here's our open. Let's see if we make a push up here. We are also, I'm switching over to one contract. I will get into more detail about this in a little bit. I did a little bit of a data review yesterday, and I'll show you what the results of that were, and you'll see a pretty good example of why I am doing these videos and why I'm taking the time to actually sit down and review them. Okay. So everything is set here. So we have open. Let's see here. Not much here at the open. A couple of large trades going off. Again, really strong divergence in the BBs, but in order for it to really be considered divergence, we need to get a move up in price and come close to retesting overnight high. And that is what we're watching for right now. Above us, we really don't have many levels, okay? So not the greatest scaling opportunity, but again, when I show you what it is I did last night, we are still going to treat it as a scaling opportunity. Nothing doing so far. And to that point, let me pull up what it is I did last night. Nice little head and shoulders here. We could see if we were looking at it. Oops, sorry. Let's draw that a little more accurately here. Push up from down here, creating a shoulder, head, shoulder. But we didn't really get the pullback. We got a pullback, but we didn't fully come down, you know, to the beginning here, down to this swing. So we'll see what happens. We'll just be patient right now. We gotta watch actually even right up to here, back into this consolidation area here, and this swing. Sorry, I missed it. This swing here, that might be a decent opportunity to start getting into a short as well, but we'll see. All right, while we do that, Okay. So without getting too boring with data, let's see here. I want to see what happens here at the current low of day, how it looks when we start pushing down. Sellers are adding size here. So are buyers. Buyers are holding this area right now. No long here at this point. Nothing to tell us that this is a reasonable spot to go long. Sellers keep coming down. Buyers just held right there. Then here come the sellers. Looks like sellers are still coming down a bit. Just had a large sell, or a couple of large sells go off down here. And there they come again, moving low offer. And we're seeing it trade. We're seeing low offer trade, and they're adding on size again. Buyers defending this 78, 79, 80 area. I am looking right now for an opportunity to get a short, but I'd like that opportunity to come from a higher price. Still have what looks to be negative divergence if we come up to the overnight high. Testing VWAP from below. Some big bid, yeah, some big trading just went off there at the bid. We might have just missed an entry here. Oh, big bids just stepped up. Let's see if we can't. Let's see what the sellers decide to do. I'm going to take my first short here, and we're going to scale in. keep those orders out there for a minute. Now, again, now at this point, what we're watching for, so we came up, we tested VWAP, we tested the middle of the day. It's a little early to be all too concerned about the range. There hasn't been enough time for a range to develop. And what we're watching for is if we can get a push down, obviously that is the best case scenario. But if we continue to kind of hover around here, maybe drift up a little further, get us into more of the position, what we will be watching for is, will we ultimately have positive divergence if we then come back and retest low of day? So for now, not much more to do in this trade other than to wait and see. Now, let's get back to what it is I wanted to show you here. Okay, what I did was I went back to March 22nd, where I started the all-in scale-out trading, okay? And that's this column here. And in a minute, this will make a little bit more sense. I'm sorry if it's, I don't think it's going to be confusing, but if it is, I promise that at the end of this, I have it super simplified. All right, so all in, scale out, all in, all out. The other thing that, if you've watched, especially earlier on in the videos, I've talked about getting out at our first profit target with our entire position versus leaving on a runner or runners and seeing how that plays out. So I did that too. So what I did is I went back and I looked at every trade I made, and without changing entry prices and just looking at what the difference would be here, I figured out here's what I made or lost. Here's what I would have made or lost if I scaled out of my position or I got out of my position all at my first profit target. These next two columns are if I used my standard 10 tick on 3 contract stop. Hang on, let me just see here what just happened. Just take a peek here. Okay. So here, so on these two columns, I used the exact stops I used while I was trading. And if you remember, they've been very tight. Some as low as 3 ticks, almost never more than 6 ticks. This is if I used my standard 10 tick stop and also the difference between scaling out of the position towards the profit targets or getting all out at our first profit target. These last two columns are using the same entry price as the original position, but scaling in. So you'll see as I go through this, in a lot of cases, like right here, you could see there were 4 trades. Sorry, let me change that color. There were 4 trades that happened here, but only 1 that happened in these 2. And that's because while these 4 were happening, we had not yet gotten stopped out of our 10 tick stop, and we had not yet gotten out of our scale. So so I went through all the videos, and ultimately, here's the part that actually matters to us. Ultimately, to turn this into dollars and cents, what I did here is this is the total for March 22nd, and then March 23rd, 24th, 25th. Or sorry, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and then 27th, 28th, and yesterday. So at the end of it all, here's what we learned. Over the span of those 6 days, okay, using the method we have been testing, the exact method we have been testing was actually the worst of the bunch, which for me, you always hear me talking about, I want to just test this. I want to see what this equates into. And this is also why I record these. I'm not trying to go back and fine-tune my entries and exits when I watch the video right now, although I will be doing that as well. I'm trying to determine, based on my trading style, based on my entries, based on my exit, what is the best entry and exit method that I can be using. So over the last 6 days, we can see certainly the all-in scale-out method was the worst. All-in, all-out method was the second worst. all in using my normal 10 tick stop. So you see what happened when we tightened our stops? Because that's the only difference here. We tightened our stops, which means we were getting stopped out of trades, and then we were finding our way back into them in a lot of cases, and those also went against us. So all in with 10 tick stops, scale out versus getting all out at our first profit target. Ironically, in both of these cases, we made more money by closing everything at our first profit target of 10 ticks versus going to a 20 tick and 30 tick profit target for runners. And here, this is scale in, scale out. And in this case, it's a substantial difference. We do better with scaling in and scaling out. We do better by having a runner or a couple of runners on there, depending on the size of the position. So what I wanted to show you here is this. This is where it gets a little complicated, so I'm going to simplify this. Here, by scaling in, we only got into one contract. Here, by scaling in, we got into 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, and this one went against us. 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 2, 2. So certainly, hang on. So we just got scaled in here. Certainly, we have. Oh, wait a minute. So that added on to my stop. Sorry, guys. Just 1 second. Okay. I'm not sure why that happened, but that's okay. I'm actually okay with the way that handled the. So still negative divergence on all 3 time frames. So I'm okay with. I'd be completely okay with getting scaled in all the way up to 96, which at that point my average price is going to be 91. And you'll see my stop price is going to be 01. So using the data that we have, and it's a small data set, right? I didn't go back since the beginning of the year and review all the videos and so on, and I honestly I just don't have time for that right now. But this is a pretty significant difference here in scaling in, scaling out, or scaling in, getting all out, as compared to any of the methods where we are taking our entire position. And in a lot of cases, in most cases, we don't get our 3 contracts on the scale in. In most cases, we don't get our 3 contracts when we scale in. In fact, let's see. Let's do this here. I want to do that. And I actually also want to. I want to separate these days out a little better. It just makes it easier for me to navigate. And just to be honest with you, at this point, there's not much for us to do right now in the oil. So we still have negative divergence off of the. Sorry. We still have negative divergence off of the higher day. We're happy to get scaled in if it happens. We're also happy if this turns down and starts heading in our direction. Speaking of which, let us take a look here. Our current entry price is 89. So we're going to have one profit target of 79. And for now, one profit target at 69. And those will adjust if we get scaled in. Okay. So let's make this column here number of contracts. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 3. Okay. So what we'll do is let's take a look at two and two. So first we're going to take a look at how many actual trades we made. Okay, so 6. Holy goodness. All right, let's get this whole column formatted the way I want. Okay. And how many of them in total contracts? All right, so let's just take this. So we're averaging 2 contracts per trade when we are scaling in. So what that's telling us is a couple things. What that's telling us is, number one, and by the way, again, there's really nothing for me to do in this oil trade right now. What that's telling us is this. I also want to see how many of these were 1 contract. I'll just do that by hand. I think there's another way to do that. Hang on. Shoot. All right, I don't remember that. So that's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 1 contract trades. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 contract trades, which is going to mean, I'm guessing, 6 3 contract trades, but we'll check it just to be sure. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So here's what this is telling us. We are getting into positions at the right time, meaning it does not get more than 5 ticks away from us. If it got more than 5 ticks away from us, we would have scaled into at least a second contract. We are getting into positions at the right time, 6 out of 16 trades. We are getting into positions where they go against us 5 ticks before ultimately going in our favor 4 out of 16 times. And we're getting into positions that ultimately go 10 ticks against us before turning down in our favor 6 out of 16 times. So 10 out of 16 times, our initial entry point is at least 5 ticks too soon. Okay. So a couple of things we could do with that information. Let me just see one more time. All right, so we're really just sitting around VWAP right now. we'll have to wait and see what happens. So a couple of things we could do with it. Before I say it, let's just make sure the BBs still look the same. Okay. So what we have to watch for now is positive divergence as we come to the low on these BBs, which I don't think will be the case. The 610 might have some. The 987 I don't think would, and certainly the 1597 with the way it's reading now would not have negative divergence. Okay, here we go. So that tells us that 10 of the 16 trades have come against us at least 5 ticks. I'm going to get that out of the way now. We don't need that. Have come against us at least 5 ticks, with 6 of the 16 coming against us as many as 10. There's some information we can take from that, and that is, what is it? So like right here, we took our first short. Let's see here. We took our first short here, if I remember right, at 86. Okay. Took our second at 91. Is there something that we could have seen to tell us that 86 is early? Okay. Before it happened, before that move up to 91. Should we have looked for a better entry and said, okay, you know what? It looks okay here. We're testing VWAP where sellers are stepping in. We see that. We're taking our first short. We're taking our first short here. Should we have looked at this and said, well, that's true, but a better entry would be what we described before, and that is, let's watch for. Oh, sorry. Let's watch for this area to hold as consolidation with this swing, and we'll start to get into our trade when we come up here. And in this case, and in most cases, 10 of 16, we are getting into our position a little early. Now, in 6 of those 16, now keep in mind, the way I'm treating it is, if I get into one contract, I'm only taking my 10-tick profit target. I'm not treating that one contract as a runner. But this information is very, very helpful. And now that I'm going to start watching it a little bit more religiously, it's potentially going to really, really help me fine-tune my entries. I'm not looking at it from an exit perspective right now. My exits are being based on profit targets. And that's completely okay, actually. There are certainly different ways to look to get into and out of a position, and using a predetermined profit target is one of them. And whether or not we get to that point, whether or not we get to that profit target, is part of what will define whether or not our entry was good or not. One thing just to note here, we are showing positive divergence on the 610 BBs from the open. Okay, I'm sorry, not positive. We're not showing negative divergence from the open. We are on the 15. I'm sorry, on the 987, and very much so on the 1597. So still okay with what I see. In fact, I have no intent. The only thing I would be willing to do, and I should point this out too, what I don't have on those spreadsheets is, but some of them actually I do. If we're in right now, we're in a short trade, right? But if something were to come up and we were to say, no, hang on, we need to be looking to go long. Let's say we're coming down towards low of day, and we start forming, real clear positive divergence, and we say we'd be more interested in trying to get a long here than stay in the short. We can absolutely reverse the trade. That is 100% okay. But when we do it, we will be reversing and scaling. Okay, scaling into the position. So we got a minute and a half to equities open. Let's see what's happened. We're pretty much exactly where we were when we did our homework. Right near, fairly close to yesterday's VPOC, a couple of points away. Let me go back to, I think I took a picture of all of the S&P. I did. I could be wrong, though. I really got to get better at that. I mean, it's just taking a freaking picture, but I just forget. Okay, good. We do. So we do have all of the S&P, but I only have one of the oil. No problem. So first and third hypothesis on the S&P are looking for a push down to test overnight low, hopefully give us some positive divergence when we get there. See if we can't get some reasonable order flow showing us that buyers are holding their ground and give us a chance to get long. Second hypothesis, now keep in mind, it's not the timing of this that matters to me. Second hypothesis is we push up, test these swings, and then when we get to the low, see if we can't break below it and then start pushing down. I don't care if in what order this happens. I know when I get to this low, if I get to this low, I'm looking for it to hold as support, and if it doesn't, all right, we're scaled into oil, into our third contract. And we might, we might get stopped out here, and that's completely fine. I'd rather us not, of course. See if overnight high holds as resistance. Let's see what S&P has done. Really nothing. Just opened and stayed. Notice that I adjusted my profit targets as we got scaled in here. So I'm still at 10, 20, and 30 ticks away. But right now we need to see sellers start holding off here. These buyers are continued right there again. They're stepping up here on oil. Sellers need to hold their ground, and let's see if buyers can't get out of the way now. Not happening just yet. These buyers are continuously stepping up. They just did it again. They're putting a lot of pressure at overnight high here. Yep, there it is. Okay, so now we have come across overnight high. We're going to watch to see overnight high if it will hold as support. That was a quick push right there. And as far as the S&P goes, we are getting up towards yesterday's VPOC. Eddie will be a little disappointed if we got stopped out to the tick here. Oh. Now, remember, we have a lot of space above us here, so I am watching for a buy here. Sellers are still coming down. Buyers are holding their ground right there. Let's see if we can't flush down a little further. Okay, sellers just push down again. Let's see if buyers step back up, or if we can. There they come again. So I'm in for one here, and I prepare my scales. So S&P came to test, close to test overnight VPOC right in this last swing here. Looks like we're going to get scaled. Well, you might get scaled in here on oil. Buyers just stepped up to defend mid there. So S&P, we've opened, we've put in a high right at yesterday's close. Now we've rejected off of there. So let's see if we don't make our way down and take a look at overnight low. Okay, we've been scaled into our oil. So what do we have here? 94. Nothing really doing here on the S&P. Where is okay? Overnight VPOC's below us. So right now, what I'm watching for, and we don't have it, there's no negative divergence at the current high of day on the S&P. So that would make us believe that we're going to see a push through and put a new high in. And we have yesterday's VPOC above us, which we have not yet gotten to. We've gotten within a few ticks of it, but we have not gotten to it exactly. So oil pushing down some more. At 94. Let's see if we can't get scaled into one more here. That puts us at 91. Now we've lost some positive divergence here, so this actually is not quite going as planned. Not getting the response I was looking for here on crude. And what I have to be careful for is, hang on here, yeah, no negative divergence down here at all. What we have to be careful for with oil, or with any of my trading, is that I'm entering as I was before, and not with the concept of, well, it's okay because I can scale in. But ironically, on our trading sheet, in the last 6 days, we only had one trade get scaled all the way in and come to its complete stop, and we just saw 2 of them here. So not the not quite what I was expecting, but that's okay. So oil has come down to test overnight. Oil S&P's come down to test overnight VPOC. We do show positive divergence. Oil, on the other hand, does not show positive divergence as we're getting close to the lows here. Let's watch the S&P a little bit here. Let's pull back right into this old consolidation here. That was okay. Got stopped out by a tick here. We got stopped out at, I believe it was 04. High of day is 05. Look, again, all data and everything you want, that's just a little bit of bad luck. There's nothing up here to tell us that we would get to 05 instead of 04. We were 6 ticks above overnight high. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh, sorry. Okay, so oil's bouncing now. Let's see where we've gotten to. Cool. Did not mean to move that. So S&P has come up off of this low, and again, we do show positive divergence from this low to here, meaning if this came all the way down to match that low, those BBs would be showing positive divergence on the 1597 and to 2584. Let's see here. We do not yet show negative divergence at the highs here. It looks like if we were to continue to push up and get to the highs, it looks like we would not have any negative divergence there. So we're not looking to short that just yet. We'd have to see something set up a little bit better. Oil bouncing off the lows. We've come up, what, 10 ticks from the low. Real shame we got stopped out of that oil trade. Even more of a shame. Yeah, I mean, really, the idea of a long here. Come and test VWAP. Broke overnight high. Quick rejection. So VWAP holding on S&P right here. And oil has come back to test the low. No negative divergence down here. Sorry, no positive divergence down here. No divergence at all. S&P coming to test the highs. Same thing. No divergence here. Slight divergence, I should say, on the 1597. 2584 has none. 4181 has none. Coming to test yesterday's VPOC. Oil continues to consolidate down towards the bottom. Gotten to within one tick of yesterday's VPOC. Certainly, I would consider that being tested. Here comes oil again down to the low of day. Okay. There was our test of VPOC from yesterday. kind of looking at opposite things here. I'm looking for a pullback in the S&P for an opportunity to go long. And I'm looking for a pullback in oil for an opportunity to go short. Oil looks like it's getting ready. Low volume in the overnight profile here, so no surprise that we push through it quickly. The fact that we're spending time there now, we're just kind of filling that in. Excuse me. I really thought oil was going to flush down there. S&P coming off of the VPOC. Let's see if we can't get a pullback. Who's holding more than I thought it would. We're seeing a lot of selling coming down there at the bottom, but it is holding its ground. S&P still coming up, testing highs. I didn't take the trade here right off of VWAP. I wasn't paying enough attention to order flow to see what it looked like, but I was looking for a little bit more of a pullback. Okay, oil is giving us our bounce here. Buyers are stepping up, but sellers are fighting them off right here. I'm taking a short here. Set up my scales. Okay. Let's see what's happening in the S&P. Still bumping up against yesterday's VPOC. No negative divergence here in the S&P. Still believe that we're going to continue to make new highs here today on the S&P. Testing highs again here. We're trading up there. Sellers are holding that pretty nicely. I know not a short opportunity for me, but just interesting that we have not pushed through. Sellers are absorbing up here. And just add it on. Looks like we're going to get scaled in. Oh, maybe not. Would have liked that. Same idea as like when we look for profit targets and things like that. If we're going to touch it, I'd like to get my position. I'd like to get into a second contract because it's only going to help me from my my average price. If we touch it, I want to get filled. But that didn't happen. Dum, dum, dum. Mm-hmm. S&P, one more attempt. Okay, we got scaled in. One more attempt of it for S&P here. Once again, we bump up against the high and we hold for now. Big seller came in there at oil, right on their VWAP. Makes sense. Doesn't mean he's going to be right, but it makes sense to see someone step in there. Definitely got aggressive with this short entry here. What was our original order? I think it was 84, right? No, 79. Yeah, definitely got aggressive. Didn't even have. We had 6 ticks to the low of day at the time. That one was aggressive. Might have had a little bit of revenge trading in there. Like, okay, oil, enough of this bullshit. Now I'm getting in. Yeah, I really should have seen that I was a little too close to the low. I should have waited for my first entry should be where I got scaled in, that 84. Really should have been our first entry here. S&P has come off the high. We ticked through there. We got through by 1 tick, excuse me, and turned down. 21 EMA holding very tight range though right now on the S&P. Over here on oil, big seller just stepped in. I'm sorry, a large trade went off. I don't know. Don't know how much more, if any more, they have to actually sell. S&P, one more push up towards high a day. Big buy right there before, right under the high. Those are always the ones that surprise me, is that buying at the top of the channel before the channel breaks, or top of consolidation before the consolidation. Those are always the ones that surprise me. I'm surprised that these highs on the S&P continue to get fought so aggressively by the sellers. There again, it's pushed down. We keep coming off a point, around a point. Every time we get to a high here, we come off a point, sometimes even a little more. And we come back up to test it, and same thing, we come off a point. I definitely feel as if it's stronger than weaker right now, because buyers are continuing to step up to go try to break highs, and sellers are absorbing here. But sellers have not yet really come down with any type of aggressiveness to, these pullbacks are more, in my opinion, more buyers taking a breath versus sellers driving price down. Again, you could see in S&P, there's really no push away from these highs. They're just tiny pullbacks, and then we come right back up towards the highs to test them. Here we go again with the S&P. We just saw offers add on again here. Okay, there's our push. So far, it's always been one tick at a time, one tick at a time. Stronger push happening right now in the ES. And it looks like oil is going to test this VWAP. That's kind of what we've been hovering at here. Consolidation below VWAP. BBs are starting to get out of our favor here. I can't believe I'm about to say this. We might actually get into our third full scale and third stop out. But I want to let it do that. Believe it or not, unless I see something to tell me that we should be switching to a long, I'm going to allow it to do that, because now that I am making time at night, because there are other things that don't require as much of my time as they did before. I want to be able to go back and look at what I'll know what my thought process was, and I will be able to fine tune a little. S&P continues to run. Missed that one. Missed the pullback here to the VWAP. But like I said, I wasn't really watching to see what order flow did, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say that there was something, at least for me, that would have been obvious, other than the price. Other than coming to VWAP and 21 EMA and this previous swing here. Okay, so now with the S&P, we're coming up towards these two swings here, and these are what we were looking at. These are the top of 2 days ago and yesterday. So here's yesterday's high, and this is the high from the day before. We're going to watch this here to see if this holds acts as resistance, gives us any type of negative divergence. Darn it. Okay, so we've come up to yesterday's high, yesterday's value area high, yesterday's high, all right here. Oil testing here again. 49.80. 49.80 has absolutely been the line in the sand right now. Buyers have held it here. This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Okay, there was a break. Let's see this turn into resistance now. Let's get below the 49.80 and start to push. So it is 10 o'clock. Unfortunately, I am going to have to run. I'm going to leave. Oopsie. How am I going to do this? I'm just going to leave everything on the way it is. Okay. Not a good day trading. Not a good day trading at all. I missed a couple, and I will go back tonight. The one thing that I can say after the fact is, when we get a quick move like this and come back below, just picture a slightly longer time frame candle, how you just get a wick above it and come right back below. This is not considered a break, in my opinion. I should have continued to watch this as resistance. We got a little bit, meaning I should not yet have been trying to get longs here at the VWAP. A little bit of bad luck getting stopped at 04 and the high day being 05. Not much I can do or say about that one. I could have, and what we were talking about before with our spreadsheet, I could have been looking for better entries into my short, which would have ultimately given me a better average price, which would have ultimately given me a further stop, which would have ultimately kept me in the trade. So that's the rough one. Switching over to a long here, again, in hindsight, I could see why that's a bad idea, where we didn't really get any acceptance above overnight high, just a quick thrust above and right below. Really should have seen that more as resistance. S&P is coming to test 2 days ago. I really want to stay here longer trade, but I can't. I got so much stuff I have to do today. I'm so sorry. All right. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send them to me. Don't hesitate to send me comments about a bad day of trading. I'm more than willing to hear them. But other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.